Thousands of protesters have taken to the streets across the UK, angry over the number of asylum seekers being housed in hotels. A whopping 32,000 people. That's an increase of 8% since last year. Here's some of the reaction from angry Brits.
Starmer, and I will say this, is a complete traitor. He should not be ruling this country. He's got no time for the true British people, and I don't care if they lock me up for saying that. I've worked my arse off in this country, and these come here and they get this. These aren't coming through the legal channels, and the government and that know that. Send them straight back.
People aren't happy about paying taxes. The taxes have gone up, cost of living's gone up through the roof, and they're having a free ride looking for asylum.
Yeah.
It's a peaceful seaside town.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up around here, so I've seen the change over the last 2 years at least.
Let's cross to Sophie Elsworth in the UK. She's News Corp's Europe correspondent, of course, and Sky News contributor. Good to talk to you again, Sophie. This is extraordinary. You've been out at these protests over the weekend. 32,000 people at taxpayer expense in hotels. Tell us how this whole border protection disaster is playing out.
Well, great to be with you, Chris. Look, it's playing out extremely terribly here in the UK. It's dominating headlines here day in, day out. On Friday evening, local time, I travelled to Bournemouth, which is in southwest England, a couple of hundred k's from London, to attend one of these protesters. Now, it was outside the front of the Hotel Britannia in Bournemouth, which is just a couple of hundred metres from the glorious beachside there in the coastal region. And there was a protest there on Friday night. And I can tell you, Chris, tensions were high in this community, which has got a couple of 100,000 residents. There's a lot of people very angry about these asylum seekers coming in, being housed in these hotels. And Chris, the people that did speak to me were pretty annoyed about what's going on. But rest assured, there were also many others who wouldn't go on camera because they were worried of what would happen if they did speak out. So this is an issue that is continuing to, fester in the UK. And it seems that Sir Keir Starmer has failed to get a grip on the issues here with migration.
Look, it's just so obvious, and Australians know it so well, and of course Americans know it now as well. I mean, if you want to be a sovereign nation, you must control your borders. I would have thought this issue was the number one issue behind Britain leaving the EU, the whole Brexit debate going back many years now. Yet governments, especially left-wing governments, can't bring themselves to be strong enough to control their borders. This must be the wind under the wings of Nigel Farage, surely, and is going to have a big impact on the next election.
Well, he's done an extensive interview in the UK media here on the weekend where he's saying he wants to overhaul legislation here. He wants to introduce a Bill of Rights, and he wants to be able to introduce the ability to arrest, detain and deport illegal migrants. And this, I can tell you, Chris, is resonating with a lot of people. There's a survey in the Times of London this morning that shows 70% of Britons think that Keir Starmer is doing a bad job of the migration problems here, and 50% of those Labor voters are also annoyed about this. So his own voting constituency. So he really needs to get a handle on this. But I can tell you, Chris, from being at those protests, the people that are talking to me are discussing about Nigel Farage and their annoyance at Keir Starmer, and they're not even mentioning the Conservative Party.
Yeah, completely frozen out. It's a fascinating political dynamic, and we've seen it before. It does have, without all the embellishments of personality, it is redolent of Donald Trump, because I think border control was such a big issue with Donald Trump and his rise in the US. I want to get your thoughts on another fascinating development that's unfolding across the UK, because I think it's familiar to Australians. There's so much uncertainty about our national flag here. Whenever the Prime Minister speaks, there's 3 flags behind him. When we have these protests on the weekend, you never see an Australian flag. And in fact, people are sometimes arrested because of the provocation of an Australian flag. Can you believe it? But the flag, the national flag in England and the flag of Great Britain is making a bit of a comeback.
Well, it is indeed, Chris, because when the Lionesses here won the EuroLeague in July, many people raised their flags above their homes, above their businesses, and they've kept them up. But what's happened in Birmingham, in northern England, is that the council has told people to take these flags down. They say there's safety issues with them, but the public are fighting back, saying, hang on a moment, there's Palestinian flags that are being allowed to fly. Why is not the Union Jack being allowed to fly in the UK? So as a result, flag sales are going up here. Many people are defying the orders and flying flags above their businesses and homes, and fed up being told what to do by these councils who seem to have double standards, Chris.
Yeah, what a great way of fighting back. The silent majority saying, if you don't want us to fly our nation's flag, we'll buy one and fly it. Good on them, sticking it up. Thanks so much, Sophie. Appreciate it. Sophie Elsworth there, live from the UK.